Welcome back to the channel Coin Dealer. Today's fascinating video where we dive into one of the most mind-blowing stories in the world of rare coins, a simple 2014 D1 cent penny that has reportedly been valued at an astonishing $8.2 million, far beyond its modest face value of just 1 cent, and the reasons behind this staggering difference lie in the hidden mysteries of coin errors, minting mistakes, and incredibly rare variations that transform what appears to be an ordinary penny into a collector's treasure worth a fortune. And to understand this, we first need to look at how coins are made and how even the tiniest slip at the mint can result in an error that collectors hunt for with unmatched excitement. Because when the Denver Mint struck the 2014 D penny, it was supposed to follow precise procedures with perfect designs and flawless impressions, yet in some cases anomalies slipped through, like double dies where the image or lettering shows doubling because of a misalignment in the hubbing process, or planchette errors where the blank disc of metal is flawed before striking, and sometimes the errors are more dramatic, such as off-center strikes where part of the design is missing, or wrong metal composition when a coin is mistakenly struck on a planchette intended for another denomination, and these peculiarities are what turn a single cent into a multi-million-dollar object of desire. And the 2014 D penny that captured so much attention was believed to contain a mix of these qualities, with collectors speculating about a unique mint mark anomaly where the D itself was placed incorrectly, perhaps doubled, misplaced, or punched in a way inconsistent with standard practices, making it instantly distinct from ordinary circulation coins. And once word spread that such an error coin existed, curiosity snowballed into frenzy as numismatists, the dedicated students of coin collecting, started scouring through their change jars, hoping to find this golden ticket of the penny world. Because when rarity meets demand, values soar astronomically, and what makes it even more thrilling is that error coins do not follow a single predictable pattern. Every anomaly has its own story, and the rarer the error, the higher the value. So for this 2014 D penny, the combination of mint mark mystery, potential misstrike, and perhaps a composition or die-related anomaly created the perfect storm of collectability, driving experts to compare it with legendary coins like the 1943 copper penny or the 1955 double die, coins that are iconic in numismatic history for commanding hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars at auctions. And this raises the exciting question for every viewer: could you unknowingly be carrying a penny in your pocket that's worth millions? Because these discoveries often happen by accident when someone spots something unusual about a coin they've been using for everyday purchases, like noticing a doubled letter, an off-center design, or a mint mark that doesn't quite look right. And once authenticated by experts, these coins leap from being pocket change to museum-worthy artifacts. So imagine the thrill of learning that a humble 1 cent from 2014 could surpass the price of luxury cars, houses, and even rival the worth of some diamonds. And the fascination with such coins lies not only in their rarity but in the story they tell. Because each error captures a fleeting moment in history when human precision faltered just slightly, leaving behind a tangible reminder of how uniqueness is born out of imperfection. And collectors thrive on this chase, often paying enormous premiums at auctions where bidding wars break out over who will own this one-of-a-kind piece. And while skeptics may raise eyebrows at the idea of any penny being worth millions, the market has consistently shown that rarity and demand can shatter expectations, with wealthy collectors eager to pay whatever it takes to secure bragging rights to owning the rarest penny known. And the 2014 D, valued at $8.2 million, has now become a legend whispered across coin shows, online forums, and collector communities, sparking debates about what exact errors it holds, whether the mint mark placement was truly unprecedented, whether there were multiple errors layered on a single coin, or if it was struck on an unusual planchette, all of which only amplify its aura of mystery. Because in the end, the value is driven as much by the story and uniqueness as by the tangible physical details. And this brings us to the bigger picture where ordinary people, not just expert collectors, can stumble upon life-changing discoveries simply by paying closer attention to their coins, flipping them over, examining the details under a magnifying glass, checking the mint mark, the date, the alignment, and even subtle differences in the color or thickness of the coin. And countless stories exist where lucky individuals cashed in thousands or millions after realizing they had been carrying rare error coins unknowingly, which is why awareness and curiosity are the best tools in this fascinating hobby. And for anyone watching this, the lesson is clear: do not underestimate the pennies in your change jar or wallet, because one of them might just be the ticket to unimaginable wealth. As the 2014 D penny has shown us by turning a copper-plated zinc coin worth 1 cent into a jaw-dropping $8.2 million marvel, a true testament to the unpredictable wonders hidden in plain sight, waiting for someone sharp-eyed enough to notice, and that is what makes this story so inspiring, because it blends history, chance, and human curiosity into one incredible journey that could belong to any of us, and perhaps after watching this you'll never look at your spare change the same way again, knowing that within those everyday coins may lie the next record-breaking treasure. Where we are diving into the fascinating world of rare coins and unbelievable values, specifically focusing on the humble 2006 D1 penny, a coin that at first glance looks like nothing more than an ordinary piece of copper-plated zinc you might find rolling around in your pocket change, but in reality it can be worth a jaw-dropping $5.1 million because of extremely rare minting mistakes, error types, and hidden anomalies that separate it from its face value of just a single cent, and the story behind it is not only about rarity but also about the strange world of coin collecting where errors that are overlooked by most people end up being treasures that collectors hunt tirelessly for. So let's dig deep into why this small 2006 D penny is so valuable and why you should never underestimate the potential of a coin that looks completely ordinary at first sight. Because in this case the difference between a penny that buys nothing more than part of a piece of gum and a coin worth millions comes down to very small details, sometimes as tiny as the placement of the mint mark or the pressure of the strike. The 2006 D penny refers to a coin minted in Denver, and most of them were churned out in the millions by the US Mint to keep up with circulation needs. But as always happens in massive minting operations, there are occasional mistakes, slips, and oddities in the process, and when those mistakes slip past quality checks they enter circulation, waiting to be discovered by a sharp-eyed collector or lucky finder. And this is what happened with the error types connected to this incredible penny that fetched such a record price. Collectors talk about error coins in different categories, like double die obverse where the design is struck twice and slightly shifted, giving the appearance of doubled letters or features on Lincoln's face, off-center strikes where part of the design is missing because the coin was misaligned when struck, wrong planchet errors where the coin is struck on metal meant for a different denomination, and even variations in the mint mark like misplaced or repunched marks that are not where they should be. And for the 2006 D penny, the intrigue lies in a rare combination of these factors that make certain pieces not only scarce but essentially unique. Imagine holding a coin that everyone else overlooks, but under a magnifying glass reveals that the D mint mark is slightly misplaced, or struck over itself, or that Lincoln's features are doubled in subtle ways only specialists can recognize, or that the coin has been struck on a planchet with a different metal composition, and suddenly what was an everyday penny is now an object of global numismatic desire. And once word spreads that such an example exists, collectors bid aggressively, driving the price into the millions. The psychology of coin collecting also adds to the mystique, because in a field where rarity and condition dictate value, having the only known example of a minting mistake from 2006 with such anomalies makes it not just another penny but a holy grail piece that defines a collection, and investors treat it like fine art or rare gems, seeing its value as both historic and financial. The case of the 2006 D penny valued at $5.1 million illustrates how errors turn ordinary coins into treasures, but it also shows how the tiniest variations matter in numismatics. For example, if a coin shows a doubled "In God We Trust" inscription, or if the rim is slightly off, or if the reverse side with the Lincoln Memorial has distortion in its columns. These details matter to experts and can drastically change the value, and while thousands of 2006 D pennies exist, only a microscopic fraction carry these mistakes, making them rarer than rare. Possibilities that enhance value include die cracks running across the coin like tiny lightning bolts, cuds which are blobs of metal where part of the die broke, missing letters because of grease-filled dies, or transitional errors where the wrong metal composition was used because leftover blanks from earlier minting years were fed into the press. And even something as subtle as a weak strike making details faint can contribute to rarity when combined with other anomalies. When a coin with these errors is authenticated by experts and graded by top services like PCGS or NGC, the market immediately recognizes its uniqueness and the bidding war begins, and that is how we get to a penny fetching millions, not just because of metal content but because of the story, the rarity, and the passion of collectors. It's fascinating to think that pocket change people casually drop on sidewalks or leave in jars could contain fortunes waiting to be discovered, and the 2006 D penny worth $5.1 million is a perfect example of why every coin should be inspected before being spent, because the odds are slim but not impossible that a mistake coin has slipped through into your hands. While some may doubt such high valuations, History shows us that extraordinary error coins consistently sell for massive amounts, and the 2006 D is now part of that history, celebrated in coin collecting circles, and reinforcing the idea that mistakes, far from diminishing value, can sometimes elevate something common into an irreplaceable treasure. So the next time you find a penny from 2006 with a D, the mint mark, take a close look, because you never know if it might be one of those incredible minting accidents that turned a single cent into millions, and that's the magic of numismatics, where tiny details and human error intersect with history, rarity, and passion to create value beyond imagination. One of the most unbelievable stories in the world of rare coins, a story that begins with something as small and ordinary as a 1-cent penny minted in 1976, a coin most of us would probably never look twice at when handed back as change at a store. But in this case, we're talking about a penny that is worth an astonishing $6.3 million. Yes, you heard that right. A simple copper-colored coin originally carrying a face value of just 1 cent is now valued at millions, and the reason behind this incredible jump in worth lies not in gold or silver content, but in the tiny mistakes, mint errors, and mysteries of coin production that make this piece so unique and sought after by collectors and historians alike. So let's unpack how such a modest little coin could transform into a multi-million-dollar treasure, and why people are so fascinated by error coins in general, because the world of numismatics, which is the study and collection of coins, is full of surprises and hidden fortunes that often come from things most people overlook in everyday life, and when we narrow it down to this 1976 penny, the tale becomes even more intriguing, since 1976 itself was a special year in American history, marking the bicentennial of the nation, with many special commemorative designs being produced for quarters, half dollars, and dollars, but not for the penny, which kept its classic Lincoln obverse portrait and the Lincoln Memorial reverse, meaning that in circulation, these pennies seemed completely ordinary, yet among them, a tiny number turned out to be extraordinary because of human error and the complex process of striking billions of coins. You see, errors in minting can happen in many forms, such as double die strikes where the coin design appears slightly doubled, off-center strikes where the design doesn't align with the blank, planchet errors where the blank piece of metal is flawed, or mint mark errors where the small letter indicating which mint struck the coin is misplaced, missing, or punched in incorrectly. And in the case of the legendary 1976 penny valued at $6.3 million, it is believed that a combination of these mistakes occurred, including a mispunched mint mark and possibly a transitional error where the coin was struck using the wrong metal composition during a changeover. Since around the mid-1970s, the US Mint was experimenting and preparing for a switch in penny composition from mostly copper to a copper-plated zinc planchet due to rising copper prices, making it possible that a few experimental strikes accidentally slipped into circulation. So when one of these flawed yet authentic coins survives and is discovered by sharp-eyed collectors, it immediately stands out as a one-of-a-kind piece, and rarity drives value, because coin collectors know that supply and demand determine price. And when you have only one or two known examples of such an error coin in the entire world, the demand from wealthy collectors can skyrocket its value to figures like $6.3 million, and while some might dismiss this as crazy, it is important to understand that in collectibles, uniqueness and provenance carry incredible weight, making this penny a crown jewel among modern US coins. So what specifically makes the mint mark error so important here is that the placement of the mint mark, which in 1976 would have been either a D for Denver or an S for San Francisco or absent if struck in Philadelphia, was not machine engraved directly onto the master die at that time, but rather added by hand, meaning that mistakes were far more possible, and indeed the coin in question appears to have a mint mark that was either repunched, misplaced, or struck incorrectly, giving it a distinct identity, and when combined with other striking errors, the final result is a coin that experts have deemed practically unique, driving wealthy investors and seasoned numismatists into bidding wars to secure it. So the lesson here is that errors that many people would think make a coin less desirable can actually make it priceless in the right circumstances, because imperfection in a mass-produced system means rarity, and rarity means value, which is why stories like the 1976 1-cent penny are so captivating, and it sparks curiosity about what else might be lurking in our spare change jars or old piggy banks. Since discoveries have been made by ordinary people simply paying attention, finding that the date looks doubled, the coin is slightly off-center, or the mint mark is not where it should be, and while not every error coin will fetch millions, some are still worth hundreds or thousands, making it a hobby that can literally pay off. so this incredible $6.3 million penny stands as a reminder of how history, chance, and human error can intersect to create something of immense cultural and financial value, transforming the most overlooked denomination into a symbol of hidden wealth. And when you think about it, the symbolism runs deep, because the penny, often disregarded and even debated for removal from circulation due to its low purchasing power, becomes the very coin that proves priceless when it carries the marks of rarity and error. So if you're ever tempted to ignore pennies lying around or dismiss the idea of coin collecting as dull, remember this story of the 1976 1-cent penny, a tiny piece of metal that defied expectations and turned into a fortune, and who knows, maybe the next multi-million-dollar era coin is sitting unnoticed in someone's drawer right now, just waiting to be discovered.